Welcome to the video explaining the reading and use of English paper for the new SPM exam. The aims of this video are to give an overview of the reading and use of English paper, to give specific detail about the different task types, to provide some ideas about how reading and use of English can be practiced in class. First of all, a quick reminder of the four components of the test. There is the reading and use of English component for 1 hour and 30 minutes, the writing component of 1 hour and 30 minutes, the speaking component, which is approximately 13 minutes, and the listening component of around 40 minutes. Each component is equally weighted, i.e. it is worth 25% of the total exam mark, and the exam as a whole is targeted principally at B1 to B2 on the CEFR, although it will report performance from A2 to C1. The reading and use of English paper has 5 parts, which include a variety of short and longer texts and a range of different item types, including multiple choice, gapped text, matching, and information transfer. There are 40 items or questions in total, and each item is worth 1 mark, so the total number of marks is, of course, 40. Candidates will be required to read approximately 2,000 to 2,200 words over the course of the whole paper, and they will have 90 minutes to complete all the tasks. A reminder that, like the rest of the exam, the reading and use of English paper focuses primarily on the B1 to B2 levels of the CEFR. Part 1 has 8 short texts, each followed by a 3-option multiple-choice item. The texts are no more than 90 words and can take various forms, e.g. a notice or a text message dialogue. The testing focuses for the SPM exam come from the learning standards in the curriculum framework. The testing focuses for Part 1 are: understand the main points in texts on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. Understand specific details and information in texts on a wide range of familiar topics. And guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from clues provided by other words and by context on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. Here is an example of a typical Part 1 item. As mentioned previously, the texts for Part 1 are short, no more than 90 words, and each text is accompanied by one 3-option multiple-choice question. Please read the text and answer the question. You have 1 minute starting from now. If you need more time, you can pause the video. As I am sure you worked out, the answer is A, to introduce a new tea product. Let's look back at the testing focuses and think about what this question is testing. Which of these testing focuses is targeted by the question you have just seen? Think about this for 30 seconds. This question focuses on the ability to understand the main point or purpose of the text. Other questions in this part may focus on specific details and require candidates to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words using clues from the context. Part 2 of the Reading and Use of English paper consists of a multiple-choice closed text with 10 gaps. Each gap has a 4-option multiple-choice item. The text is around 250 to 300 words in total. The testing focuses for Part 2 are: guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from clues provided by other words and by context on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics, and recognise with little or no support typical features at word, sentence and text levels of a wide range of genres. In addition, it is worth mentioning that this task is focused on lexico-grammatical knowledge of English at the B1 level. While not explicitly referenced in the curriculum, it is seen as an important skill in communicative approaches to language learning and is a component of the test as a result. This is an extract from a sample text for Part 2. The full text is more than twice as long as this. It is what is termed a closed text, i.e. a text with gaps, which has a 4-option multiple-choice item for each gap. You can see that there is an example, number 0, which has already been completed. In this sample, only the first 2 items have been included, but the full text has a total of 10 items. Please pause your video, read the text, and try to answer items 9 and 10. The answers for 9 and 10 are D and A. Now pause the video for a minute and think about what this multiple choice closed task is testing. The focus here is on lexico-grammatical knowledge, i.e. vocabulary and grammar. It requires candidates to have an accurate knowledge of grammatical forms and lexical collocation. Furthermore, it also requires candidates to be able to read and understand the text more broadly. So, although the gaps test primarily at sentence or phrase level, understanding the meaning of the text more generally helps candidates to arrive at the correct answer. Moving on to Part 3, this part consists of an extended text of 650 to 700 words and 8 4-option multiple-choice items. The testing focuses for Part 3 are: understand the main points in extended texts on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics, understand specific details and information in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics, guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from clues provided by other words and by context on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics, and recognise with little or no support the attitude or opinion of the writer in extended texts on a wide range of familiar topics. Here are the first 3 paragraphs from a sample text for Part 3. The complete text is much longer than this, around 700 words in total. Candidates have to read this text and then answer the multiple choice questions which follow. Text can be fictional or factual. This particular one is biographical. It describes a childhood which, although poor, is remembered with fondness. Please pause the video and read this text. Here are the first 2 questions for the text that you have just read. Please pause the video, read them, and try to answer from memory. How did you get on? This is quite difficult to do without the text. The answers are 19B, she felt contented to be with her mother, and 20D, she was determined to put food on the table. Now, I'd like you to think about what each of these questions is testing. The testing focus could be understanding the main idea, understanding specific detail, guessing the meaning of unfamiliar words, or recognising opinion or attitude. Please pause the video while you think about this. Well, did you come up with some ideas? Again, this is a bit tricky to do without looking at the text. Question 19 is testing the attitude of the writer. She feels happy to be sitting there with her mother. Question 20 also has a focus on attitude, this time the attitude of the writer's mother. However, in order to arrive at the conclusion that her mother was determined, the reader has to understand specific details of the text and may have to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words. The writer uses the phrase laboured so hard to prepare, which shows her mother's determination. So, as you can see, in this kind of text, an answer is often arrived at by being able to use a variety of reading skills. Other items in Part 3 can focus more on how well candidates understand specific detail, or whether they understand the main idea or purpose of the text. Moving on now to Part 4. This task requires candidates to read a text that has had 6 sentences removed. They then have to read those sentences and decide where they were originally placed in the text. However, there are also 2 sentences that do not belong in the text. These are designed to distract the candidate and make the task more difficult. Part 4 has the following test focuses. Understand the main points in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics. Understand specific details and information in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics. Guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from clues provided by other words and by context on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. And recognise with little or no support typical features at word, sentence and text levels of a wide range of genres. Here is an extract from a sample Part 4 task. This extract has only 3 items. The full text has 6 in total. You have 1 minute to read the text starting from now. If you need more time, please pause the video. Now I would like you to think about what kind of things help candidates to decide which sentences fill these gaps. For example, one thing is demonstrative pronouns, e.g. this and those, which can be used to refer to nouns in other sentences. Pause the video and make some notes on other features of a text which could help candidates. What did you come up with? This task is testing the candidate's ability to understand how a text is structured and how it coheres, or fits together, into a whole text. As I mentioned already, demonstrative pronouns help this. Other things that do a similar job are adverbs, which link ideas between sentences, vocabulary, which can make links between sentences using, for example, synonyms or words with similar meanings, and grammar. If you are using past simple in the sentence before the gap and past simple in the sentence after the gapped sentence is likely to be past simple too. Here are the sentences which candidates have to choose from to fill the gaps. Can you see any of the features that we've just discussed? Spend a few moments reading these. Quite a few of these sentences have adverbs which could help candidates. For example, H has surprisingly, G has also, and B has now. There are also quite a few examples of vocabulary which could be useful, e.g., F mentions all the positives, which suggests that another sentence may mention other positives or use a word similar to positives, e.g., pros. Furthermore, there are some sentences which use past simple verb forms and others which use the present tense. Noticing this can help candidates to decide where these sentences should be in the text. Moving on now to Part 5, there are a number of task types that could be present here, including note completion, completing diagrams, matching and short answer questions. The particular example that we will look at has a matching task and an information transfer which involves completing notes. There are 8 items in total. Part 5 has the following testing focuses. Understand the main points in extended texts on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. Understand specific details and information in extended texts on a wide range of familiar topics. Guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from clues provided by other words and by context on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. And recognise with little or no support the attitude or opinion of the writer in extended texts on a wide range of familiar topics. This sample task for Part 5 shows a text with 6 teenagers writing about their experiences of community service. As you can see, these texts are quite short. If you can, pause the video and read these now. These are the items which go with the text. Please take a few moments to read these. You can see that items 33 to 36 require the candidates to find a piece of specific information in one of the paragraphs A to F. The second task, for items 37 to 40, candidates must choose one word from paragraphs A to F to complete each gap. Now, I'd like you to think about what is being tested in these 2 task types. Please take a minute to do this. What did you think? Both of these tasks are testing the ability of candidates to identify specific information. They require candidates to be able to understand the sentences in the items and locate phrases or sentences with a similar meaning in the text. Now, I would like you to pause the video and with a pen and piece of paper, answer the questions on the screen to find out how much you remember about the reading and use of English paper. Give yourself around 5 minutes to do this. Now, the answers. Number 1. There are 5 parts in the reading and use of English paper. Number 2. The paper lasts for an hour and a half, or 90 minutes, which is the same time as a football match. Number 3. The paper is principally targeted at levels B1 and B2 on the CEFR. Number 4. Part 2, the closed text, targets lexico-grammatical knowledge or understanding of vocabulary and grammar. Number 5, Part 4, the gap text, tests candidates' understanding of how a text is structured and how it coheres or fits together. And number 6, the final part of the paper tests candidates' ability to identify specific detail. In this final section of the video, I will suggest some activities that you can use with your pupils to practice key skills for the reading and use of English paper in the SPM exam. The key skill in the reading and use of English paper is understanding specific detail. In order to practice this, give pupils a longer text or a series of shorter texts on a topic that they will find interesting. Dictate a few questions to them which focus on specific detail. These questions could be similar to those which they will encounter in Part 5 of the exam. Then give them some time to scan the text for the answer. With stronger classes, you can put a strict time limit on it and make it a competition. Pupils can compare their answers with a partner, then the teacher checks with the whole class. Explain to pupils that one of the things they have to do in the exam is understand specific details of text, just like this. Now, tell them that they are going to write their own test for their classmates. In pairs, they should write 3 questions focusing on specific details of the text. They can then swap questions and answer the ones from another group. Another testing focus of various parts of the reading and use of English paper is understanding the main idea of a text. You could do this activity with the same text you used for focusing on specific detail. Ask pupils to write a sentence of no more than 15 words to summarise the main idea of the text. Once they have finished, they should pass their sentence to another pair who then have to delete any extra words that aren't necessary to explain the main idea. The winning group is the one which can make the shortest sentence but still adequately explain the main idea. The teacher may have to act as a judge here, so it's a good idea if they have a model sentence to which they can compare their pupils' efforts. Part 2 of the SPM exam uses a closed text to test candidates' knowledge of vocabulary and grammar. You can help candidates prepare for this by making your own closes in class. First, you should find 3 or 4 texts of around 300 words each, at about the right level for your pupils. Then put pupils in pairs or groups of 3 and give them 1 text each. Next, explain what a closed text is and that they will find it in Part 2 of the exam. You could even give them a sample one to try. Then, pupils make 5 to 10 deletions to create gaps in their text. If they have time, they could also write a series of options to go with each gap. Finally, they swap with other pairs with a different text and try to complete the close. Once they have finished, pupils can get together with the other pairs and check their answers. As you have seen from the focus of several parts of the reading and use of English paper, being able to guess the meaning of new words from context is a key skill at this level. In order to practice this with your class, Choose a text which is quite challenging for your pupils with a number of words which are probably new for them. Underline these words, around 5 is enough, and ask your pupils to read the text and write a definition for the underlined words using a word, phrase or sentence. It may be easiest to ask them to do this in their first language. Once they have done this individually, you can ask them to compare their answers in pairs. At this stage, it is important to get them to tell their partners which clues in the text help them to arrive at their answers. Finally, you can check the meaning of the words with the whole class and ask individual pupils to tell you how they arrived at their answers. We have come to the end of the video on the Reading and Use of English paper of the revised SPM exam. In this video, you have seen an overview of the Reading and Use of English paper, studied specific details about the different task types, and been introduced to some activities to practice reading and use of English in class. We hope this has been useful for you and that it will help you prepare your pupils for the SPM exam.